My dear people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, I come to you on this 11th day of January in the year of our Lord 2018 with a message of hope in the midst of the current seeming despair that has taken possession of our minds. The times are definitely rough. The tides are not the best. The messages that come across from everywhere do not seem so much to give us the impression that there is light at the end of the tunnel most of the time. But the truth, dear people, is that it is in times like this that we know the true revolutionaries. It is in times like this that our resolve to actually obtain the liberation of Southern Cameroons will be tested. We had crossed the first veritable test. That was in January 2017. Now this is January 2018. We have another very, very important test. How we manage this situation will determine the outcome of our revolution. When times get tough, the tough get going. The people of Southern Cameroons have suffered enormously for 57 years. We all listened with a lot of awe. Our comrade Cho Ayaba talked to us yesterday. He recalled and took us back down memory lane, botched attempts at liberating Southern Cameroons. And all those attempts were thwarted in circumstances that sound similar. But of course, we must remind ourselves that no two circumstances in history ever look the same. The current situation and the current struggle is different from all the other attempts that have taken place in the past because about 80% or more of Southern Cameroons are on board the struggle. The handful that are still resistant to change are those who believe that the advantages that they are having today will never ever be enjoyed by them and their descendants in the free Southern Cameroons. But let me draw our attention to the fact that a lot of people are resistant to change because they have never, ever been able to test a new experience. Fellow comrades, caught up in a situation like this one, what we need more than ever before is a resolve to keep going. Let me talk to us briefly about the situation on the ground here in Nigeria. Right now, breaking this morning, the 11th day of January, our interim president and the members of his cabinet kidnapped on the 5th of January are still held incommunicado. They have not been allowed to talk to a lawyer. All what we have heard thus far, and from phone calls I made this morning to those who are directly concerned with this matter, all we can report as progress is information by proxy that our leaders are in good health, that our leaders are in order, that our interim president and those among them who deserve to take their drugs are being allowed to take their drugs. But at the same time, we really can't go to sleep with such information until someone actually confirms to us that I have had a face-to-face discussion with interim President Ayuk Tabe Siseko. My dear brothers and sisters, we have listened to all sorts of theories around this arrest. The narratives are changing by the day. At some point, we are told by some who swear to have the secret of the gods that our leaders were not just kidnapped, but they have been taken into some confinement so that they should have a dialogue, the dialogue that Mr. Paul Biya has refused to have and has generally proposed to us by the dialogue of weapons. Granted that this is a desire to take our leaders in so they could sit in a confinement and talk with the people of La République. But let us tell ourselves that the approach hasn't been respectable enough, that the approach hasn't been the best, Because I've seen a number of write-ups where people are making an analogy between what happened with President Carter of the United States in Camp David, with Palestinian and Israeli representatives. But mark the difference. Here, people were simply invited, and when they arrived, they were told, you'll be held incommunicado and go nowhere until you reach an agreement. But this particular situation is an abduction of people who sat down innocently to discuss about the plight of thousands of other people rendered homeless, rendered with nothing to eat by a genocidal regime headed by Mr. Paul Biya. If it is dialogue that is at the center of this abduction, then this kind of dialogue wouldn't be the genuine kind of dialogue that the people of Southern Cameroon have yearned for all this while. If you go down back memories lane, you will realize that even right from the days of the consortium, all our press releases have insisted on the need for dialogue in the presence of a third party. And this dialogue has always been requested to be an open and public dialogue. The people of Southern Cameroon have refused any under-the-table arrangements. If information I have this morning is to receive any kind of credence, then another military aeroplane left Yaoundé for Abuja with journalists on board. Are they coming to forcefully extract public declarations from our leaders in an attempt to botch this struggle? The people of Southern Cameroon have gone beyond that. The people of Southern Cameroon will refuse any global conspiracy to maintain us in slavery and servitude. I recall that in the early days of this revolution, Comrade Tassan Wilfred shouted loud and clear when Barrister Bala Nkongo Felix and Fontemneba were in captivity at Kondengi in Yaoundé. And we heard that there were attempts by the regime to try to negotiate with them while they were in confinement. He said loud and clear that the people of Southern Cameroon will not accept any arrangements that will come out of discussions with people under captivity. And the reason is simple, that under captivity, people do not discuss with their normal faculties. That under captivity, people are made to discuss from a position of weakness. Inasmuch as we all trust our leaders, because I must recall here that our interim president, Sisiku Ayuk Tabe, made it crystal clear on France 24 when he was given the opportunity that the freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon is non-negotiable. And he said that this freedom is something he will fight right up to his very last days. And he pointed out that it is a cause he is ready to even die for. This leaves us to be very confident that even at the point of the bayonet, our interim president, Sisiku Ayuk Tabe, will never betray the people of Southern Cameroon. That said, the narrative all the same should make us stand ready that sometimes it's possible even for iron to be bended, depending on the circumstances. Our leaders will count on us to be able to decipher what they could do in normal circumstances and what they will not be able to do when found in a very terrible and unacceptable situation. My dear people of Southern Cameroon, we can all observe, therefore, from this, that the theory of our people already being transferred to Yaoundé is fake. Now, what is also happening is that as the days are going by, La République du Cameroun suspiciously stays mute officially. The Nigerian government suspiciously stays mute officially. It is still in application of that kind of policy and principle that we will shout on rooftops, walk on the streets until we get tired, and we will forget and they will do what they want to do. they will carry out their evil plans against our leaders. The message I have for them is that the people of Southern Cameroons will never be tired. We will only get tired when we would have had all those who are in captivity, both at home and abroad, released. We will only be tired when we would have seen our boss anchor in Boya and we drop out in Boya and shout at the top of our voices that free, free, free at last. Southern Cameroons is free. Let me draw our attention to the need to all permanently rally around our interim government. We have seen the decision that the interim government has taken to put in place a presidential council of 3 to work for us. Some may question the wisdom of putting 3 people, but let us note at this specific point in time, what the interim government needs from us is support. What the interim government needs from us is encouragement. What the interim government needs from us is the respect of all the directives that they will give us to follow. Putting in place a trilogy is even very important because these people will always have to concert and come out with a decision from a very level head that will make us be able to overcome these rough moments. Oh, how I see us coming out from this rough moment bigger and stronger than we were before. My dear people of Southern Cameroons, let me take a little leaf from Gray's Anatomy, where they say there comes a point where it all becomes too much, when we get too tired to fight anymore, so we give up. That's when the real work begins. To find hope where there seems to be absolutely none at all. I watch with a lot of pleasure our comrades in the United States of America assemble in Washington in thick cold to call on the conscience of the authorities of Nigeria to do what the world expects of them, to be that democracy that the world is beginning to say they are, to be the leaders, the big brother that Southern Cameroonians have generally looked up to. These are the kind of actions that will have a far-reaching effect. Our comrades in South Africa are mobilizing. I have indications that even our comrades in faraway Manila, who have not yet been seen a lot nor heard a lot, are also mobilizing to go out there and register their voices to the world. I must extend hearty congratulations to our people on Ground Zero, who by their resilience have demonstrated in 3 clear days of not just ghost towns, but reinforced school boycotts. Even some of the schools that were full before the Christmas break were totally empty, are totally empty, and should and will remain totally empty until La République du Cameroon and the rest of the world know that the people of Southern Cameroons mean business. Let us remember that life's greatest lessons are usually learned at the worst times and from the worst mistakes. Take it from me also, and I know that a lot of us enjoy the good book. And T.D. Jakes says God's grace is painted on the canvas of despair. So for those of us who are beginning to be so frightened, who are beginning to be so discouraged, who are beginning to be so downcast, this is the time for you rather to arise and say, if they had not heard my voice, this is the time for my voice to be heard. I recall during the visit of President Sisiku Ayuk Tabe Julius to the United States and in Maryland, I had the privilege to be with him during that visit. And I recall that I said there that, folks, what we are after is independence. And independence means freedom. Freedom has never been handed down to anyone on a platter of gold. So let us be ready for the long haul. And I guess we all now understand that this struggle is not ending today. It's not ending tomorrow, but it will not take too long. Let us hang in there and let us stay steadfast. Let us remain determined, and we shall attain our objective. Take note that, like Soren Kierkegaard says, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. Let us, the people of Southern Cameroons, remain who we are. Let us remain the strong-minded people we are. Let us remain those people who have demonstrated over time that in as much as we are peaceful, in as much as we hate war, in as much as we hate violence, we can rise up and respond in equal measure when you take us too far, when the provocation gets beyond acceptable limits, when the threshold is pushed beyond the comfort zones. Let me take us to Cesar Chavez, who says, we draw our strength from the very despair in which we have been forced to live. That is why we shall endure. We shall endure because for 57 years, all we have done is endure. For 57 years, we have never had a moment to rejoice. For 57 years, we have seen the economy of Southern Cameroons broken, depleted. We have seen Southern Cameroons exploited, raped. For 57 years, we have known torture, be it psychological, be it physical. In every form, we have seen torture. For 57 years, we have really not had any cause to smile. Oh, how I recall when I was down at the refugee camps at Amana. I looked into the eyes of this young girl, Aya, whose video I put out there. And despite the fact that she doesn't know where her brothers and sisters are, despite the fact that before her very eyes, she saw comrades, she saw friends, she saw brothers brought down by the bullets from the guns of soldiers of La République, she said, I will only go back to Akwaya when Ambazonia would have acquired its independence, when the independence of Southern Cameroons would have been restored. What story shall we tell young Aya if we get tired? What story shall we tell these little children who have taken time to be able to memorize and practice how to sing the anthem of the Ambazonia? Oh, how I feel when I look at them with their innocent eyes shouting, Ambazonia, land of freedom. Oh, how I feel like crying. But today I will be strong. My dear people of Southern Cameroons, we all heard our Secretary of Communication, Comrade N, say and caution all of us, let us avoid the blame game. This is exactly where the enemy is waiting for us. This is exactly where La République expects us to be. Because even from within the pit of hell, even from within the confines of La République, conspiracy theories will come out, indicting one Southern Cameroonian or the other, bringing suggestive ideas that this or that person is the one that gave us information, is the one that leaked the position of that meeting, is the one that leaked everything that helped us to capture these people. And the reason is simple, just to keep us in tatters, just because they know that we like to use the social media to say everything that we do. Just because they know that when we begin to accuse ourselves on social media, we shall bring out more information that will rather implicate our leaders than help free them. Please, the wisdom of the interim government on calling on us to desist from this kind of practice is sacrosanct. Let us all get glued to that wisdom and avoid what is happening right now. Because I see even some writings already talking about arms, interim government, ADF, and all whatnot. But we all know that our interim government had talked about the need for self-defense, but has never ever adopted terrorist approaches, but has never ever gotten involved in any kind of unlawful military practices on the territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So let us avoid making stupid suggestions that would rather bring pain to our people than set them free. My dear brothers and sisters, we must keep the faith. The most amazing things in life tend to happen right at the moment you're about to give up hope. This is why I will not end this discussion without taking a leaf from Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, you know he will be honored on the 15th of January. And Comrade Joe Ayaba has joined his voice to the interim government to call on all of us again to join in Washington for yet another demonstration where we shall create another huge media exposure for our revolution. What I see today, that it was possible for me to watch Comrade Ayaba on SCBC Talk yesterday, is a clear demonstration of the fact that the need, the importance of unity is sinking in our brains. This is a clear show, a clear demonstration to the enemy that we, the people of Southern Cameroons, are purposeful. That though there are moments when we can quarrel, but when you touch one of us, we will all come together and we will all put our energy together and we will bring you down. Mr. Paul Biya and the folks of La République, if you thought that when you captured Bala and Fontem, the revolution will end, you saw it for yourself. That the duo of Comrades Tapang and Mark did a wonderful job. If you are thinking that by laying hands on our interim president, Sisikwa Yuktabe, and the members of his cabinet, you will put this revolution to an end, you need to go back to school. You need to rethink, because Southern Cameroons has a reservoir of leaders, millions of leaders on the line. But let me assure you, nothing, not even a hair, should drop off the head of our interim president, Comrade Sisikwa Yuktabe, or any of those arrested for that matter, because it's not going to be easy. This battle, Mr. Paul Biya, has just started. This battle, Mr. Paul Biya, has just started. I guess you have seen for yourself that despite the arrest of these people, the terrorist soldiers of La République du Cameroun, who are determined to continue causing havoc on our terrain, a good lot of them continue to come to you in sacks. Let us end with this word of wisdom from Martin Luther King Jr. This is what he says, that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. My dear brothers and sisters, this is an indication that at this point in time, for victory to securely come our way, it is going to be love that will lead. So fellow comrades, let love lead.